Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Podcast, episode number 14. Big Buck Registry is a virtual museum of hunting stories. We preserve a piece of Americana by interviewing and recording hunters about their hunts and experiences from across the country. And who knows, maybe we'll learn a thing or two along the way that'll help us take our hunt to the next level.
This is Rob Lucas from Chasing Tail, and you're listening to Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Podcast.
Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. This is Jay Scott, your host of the Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Podcast, and we're back. We're back again. We're going full steam ahead. This is the 2013 deer season kickoff, and I am joined tonight by none other than the creator of Chubby Tines Outdoors, our field representative, Dusty Phillips. Dusty, what's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. Just getting pumped up for deer hunting season. Opened up this coming Saturday on the 28th here in Ohio.
Nice. Now, it's some of the bow seasons have opened up across the country. What's your schedule down there?
The opening of 2013 bow season is on the 28th here Saturday, so
Gotcha.
We'll be full-blown archery opening up Saturday morning.
Awesome, man. I don't know if you're feeling it, but I'm feeling it.
I'm pumped up. You wouldn't believe how much I am pumped up about this archery season to open up for not just me, but everybody that's available to get out in the woods and lay the creeper on big old nasty big buck or a chubby tines.
Right. Now, are you going to shoot a doe?
You know, I'm not doe hunting for a while. We're looking for the headgear for the first part of it.
All right.
Later this season, I might stick a doe. I don't know yet.
Okay. All right. I think I'm going to stick a doe early.
Early freezer meat.
I need some freezer meat, and I've got a couple tags. So yeah, I'm going in early. I'm going in.
Right on.
I'm hunting does early. So
laying the slick head on the ground.
That's it. So what's shaping up in Ohio this year for the deer season? How do you see it laying out?
Yeah, I think the deer season is going to be incredible. Obviously the rain has hit us. The crops are from heaven, and we're going to have an awesome year. The deer, if they ain't got massive headgear this year, they're not going to have it. If you're a deer hunter in Ohio right now, you need to be like jumping through hoops because the crops are unbelievable out in the fields right now. The harvest has just kicked off, and for sure, I know for a fact that there's 250 bushel corn everywhere in the state of Ohio.
Right.
Maybe a couple droughty fields, but man, that's unlikely.
You're kind of an authority on the corn situation too, because you and your dad grow and harvest corn with the big giant John Deeres, right?
Yeah, we farm, and I work for a couple farmers too, so I do know the crop records in the state.
Gotcha. So right now, is this unusual for Ohio? Is it unusual to have this many crops still up, or is this a normal situation?
Actually, right now it's kind of early.
Okay.
It just really should be kicking off, but there's actually around the house here, there's quite a few cornfields that's already been shelled. I mean, it's coming down quick. Corn prices are at a premium because they've been out of corn. Last year wasn't the greatest year for the corn crop, so local Cargills, ethanol plants, they're paying premiums. They're taking wet corn, so they're shelling corn like it's going out of style, which I don't blame them. The money's good, crops are good. Why not get the best of both worlds and get them out of the field?
Right. So the deer population is strong this year in Ohio, from what you can tell.
Oh, it's a phenomenal deer population.
Right.
Obviously with the corn coming down, I'm driving around checking fields in the evening that are close to my honey holes.
Yep.
I'm seeing a lot of does. I'm seeing some small bucks up on their feet, and it's way early. I think a guy should be able to stick a nice buck real early in the season this year because the crops are off so early.
Okay. What are you doing right now to prepare for the upcoming season? You've got bow season coming up, and then when does gun season start?
Yeah, that won't kick in until 1st of December.
Okay.
It's archery season. Obviously been shooting my bow quite a bit.
Yep.
Getting all my gear checked out, getting my scent control, putting everything in my bags. I got it all in a plastic toter. Got it out in the garage. It's sealed up. It's got if anybody's listened to the podcast prior with me live on there, I got my cedar. It's been pressed down. The oil's actually dumped dumped in the bottom. I got some cedar bark chips that are in there. So, just trying to get the scent off everything, get everything tuned up, lined up, shooting straight, ready to go.
Yeah.
That, obviously we able to get out and do a little bit of mowing on some of the food plots here that I've got set up. Just getting them ready for the cold weather to set in. That's the main thing. Getting everything set up, tree stands, shooting lanes. It's all happening right now.
Gotcha. Do you get to shoot very often during the week?
I try to at least shoot 3 times a week.
Okay.
At a bare minimum. I like to do it 5 days a week, if not 7, just to stay tuned in. Even if you can get out and shoot 10 or 12 arrows, why not? Just keep that focus on being able to shoot and shoot accurately and make a good, clean kill shot.
Yep. I always find that if, I can go in and I'll shoot for the first few shots. They'll be pretty good, but then they kind of wane and I'm not shooting as good. But if I do it routinely, it seems like I can always maintain that level of accuracy. I don't know if it's muscle memory or what, but it just seems like the more you do it, the more likely you are to have a good shot on your target. But if you just kind of wing it, you get in a couple good shots early, but then it goes haywire because you have to kind of remember where everything goes. Like where's your thumb going to go when you're resting it on your ear and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a memory.
Right.
The more you shoot, obviously your muscles get toned up, your body gets adjusted to drawing your bow back. And, the cleaner you can draw your bow, the cleaner you can hold it, the cleaner you can release it, the accurate it's going to shoot. And it takes a lot of practice.
One of the questions we asked on the Big Buck Registry earlier was how many tags you get. What's it like in Ohio? I mean, the reason we're talking to Dusty is because he's our big time field rep, and he's in Ohio. And Dusty is in what we consider to be one of the meccas of white-tailed deer hunting. I don't know if you agree with that, Dusty, or not, because you're in the middle of it. But for all of us that don't live in Ohio, Ohio is one of those best states to go to deer hunt. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd 100% agree to that, and maybe 110. Ohio's producing out some really not just. Let me say this. Let me backtrack a little bit, just
Sure.
kind of give it a rough idea of what we're talking about. The deer here are corn fed. That makes a 100% difference than a Kentucky deer that's acorn fed. Just the meat tastes a little bit sweeter. You don't have the gamey flavor. I've killed deer in Kentucky. I've killed them in Ohio. I prefer Ohio deer on the grill over a Kentucky deer any day, just because of what they eat throughout the summer months through the fall. Obviously they're eating acorns, but man, the corn and soybeans here, it's unlimited. It's free range. They don't get no better than corn-fed deer.
It makes sense. It's like a lot of the beef that we eat, that's corn-fed, right?
That's correct.
And so it does make a difference in the flavor of the deer. I know I've had deer from North Carolina, and they sit over soybean fields, and the flavor of a deer from North Carolina is different than the flavor of a deer from Ohio, which is different than the flavor of deer from Kentucky, because they're feeding on acorns, corn, and soybeans. It's all based off of what they eat.
Yeah, I compare it to like a carp to a walleye fillet. It's
Right.
or a bluefin. It's crazy.
Right, gotcha. So what else are you doing to prep for the season?
Obviously I'm prepping my wife that I'm going to be in that tree stand for a good while.
It is interesting. It is a challenge on your relationships.
It definitely is.
Something we've never really got in depth or talked about in depth. But I know that my wife knows it's coming, and she knows that, she used to call it single girl season because I wouldn't be around. But, when you have kids and that kind of stuff, if your kids are too young to kind of go with you every time, it does kind of put a little challenge, if you're out there all the time.
That's a fact. It's something that not every woman can. They get jealous over the tree stand. It happens.
Right.
There's guys out there getting divorced because they like to deer hunt.
Absolutely.
I checked into all that before I got married. I love my wife. She's a great woman, and she allows me to deer hunt, and I couldn't be more happier.
You have to have the right person in your life to make sure that this doesn't interfere, and they have to understand it. I've seen relationships where a guy marries a gal that doesn't understand the situation, even vice versa, where one spouse never really got into hunting. it doesn't go well. It doesn't go well at all.
You're right there, and I'm fortunate that my wife, she will get out there in the coldest elements, rain, snow, sleet, and she'll hunt right with me. So,
Right.
I'm very fortunate. I've got 3 daughters coming up that I think that all 3 of them, just by the way that they talk about my deer heads that I've got on the wall that are mounted up, just the way I talk about them with the hunting. And I take them with me, shoot my bow. I take them with me. We go out and we get a 22 out, obviously safety first, and we shoot our bows, and they'll take a broom off the porch with them and go out there and act like it's got a string on it and act like they're shooting with me, and that's at 4 years old. So it's a family here of hunters, that's for sure.
Right. That's awesome. And my daughter is not much of a hunter, and I took her out goose hunting once, and she really enjoyed having her hot cocoa in the goose blind, waving the black flag, honking on the horn. And we actually turned a flock of geese about a mile away. They came in, I shot them, and there were feathers all over the place. And she just turns to me and says, "Daddy, look, feathers," as they're floating down to the earth. It was funny.
That's some of the best memories that a guy can ever have with his daughter or son, is being out there in the outdoors. That's a big thing that, obviously with Chubby Tines Outdoors and Big Buck Registry, get the youth out into the hunting grounds, get them out there.
Right.
That's our next generation. Get them in the woods.
Absolutely. There's a pure element involved in getting into the woods yourself and getting others involved in the woods. If people have never been there, there's such a purity to it that you won't understand until you're there. But it's part of my life forever. I'll never be able to abandon it. And if my career or something turns me into a city or something like that, and I swear I have an allergy to asphalt and concrete, but I won't be able to do that. I won't be able to sit in a city environment and not dream about going to the woods, just the way it is going to be. So. All right. So the deer population in Ohio is, according to this website I'm looking at, it's saying that Ohio's deer population is 700,000.
That's a lot of deer.
That's a lot of deer.
I got to say this much. I think for sure that it's going to be like 600, probably about 98 or 699,998 when I get done. You might as well take at least 2 off of that count right now.
Right. I think the deer management tries to harvest out about 10% of its population every year. In order to maintain a healthy deer herd. So you're probably going to take 70,000 out of that 700,000 this year. They'll obviously come right back, but, that's a lot of deer. That's a lot of deer. Oh. The harvest in Ohio, and I'm in New Hampshire. The harvest in Ohio is approximately equivalent to the entire deer population in New Hampshire.
That's crazy, ain't it? It's what I've got in front of me is showing me about. It looks like last year somewhere around 240,000 deer were harvested last year.
Oh, is that right? Gotcha. That's a lot. Okay, so there's definitely quite a few more being harvested. So if you got a 200,000 harvest and out of a 700,000 population, there's a heck of a lot of deer being taken. That's crazy. Yep.
You was talking about the deer in Ohio. What's the bag limits? We got very minimal states with a 2 deer limit this year. They have upped the ante. Probably 90% of the state of Ohio, for sure, is going to have a 3 deer limit. Yep. in them counties, and then we got about 25 to 30 counties that looks to be having a 4 deer limit, and that's a lot of deer. Every person kills 4 deer. That's a lot of deer being harvested.
Right. So the state of Ohio Department of Natural Resources divides it up into counties and then does a deer population estimate, and then in turn will decide how many deer should be harvested per person in those counties. Is that right?
That's correct.
Gotcha. And is that more or less than last year?
That's a little bit more in some counties, and it's going to be the same in a lot of counties.
Okay.
They upped it previous years in my county, which is Montgomery County, Ohio.
Okay.
It was a 2 deer limit, a buck and a doe. This year they're going with 2 antlerless and antler deer. So that's quite a bit of meat in the freezer for us.
Right. All right. So as a family, how many are in your family, Dusty?
There's 5 of us.
So you got a family of 5. You can go out and harvest 4 deer in the Montgomery County, Ohio.
That'd be three deer in my county.
3 deer in your county. Okay. And 2 antlerless and 1 antlered, or is it vice versa?
That's 2 antlerless and 1 antlered.
Okay. And are there any restrictions on the firearm that you're using, or
yeah, we are shotgun only and a muzzleloader. We don't have a rifle season.
Is that right? Okay.
That's correct.
And are those tags they can be used for all the season? So you start out with bow. Do you have a bow tag, or is it just you get 4 tags completely?
You start out, you'll have a early doe permit, which has got to be used before deer shotgun opens up, and that's a archery only.
Okay. And when the other seasons start, can you still use a bow, or does it stop?
No, you can use a bow during shotgun.
Okay.
They do require that you wear hunter orange.
Okay, gotcha. So shotgun or muzzleloader, and there's no rifle involved here. And is that the way it is throughout in all of Ohio, or is it just Montgomery County?
That's throughout all the way through the state.
Gotcha. That's interesting. So that's probably part of the reason why you have a lot of deer, is because there's, I don't know, some of those muzzle loaders are shooting like rifles these days. But what type of equipment are you using? Tell me about your bow.
Yeah, this year, I'm going to a crossbow, just to push the crossbow hunters. It's something that, I've got a shoulder that's not the best on the right side, which I'm right-handed. Pulling back a bow's tough. I'm going with a off-brand crossbow. It's a SA Sports brand.
Okay.
And, and I've contacted them, let them know that, I'm harvesting some very nice bucks out this way. And, maybe I can get one stuck that's good enough to promote your product with my deer.
Right. And how about your muzzleloader and your shotgun? What brand?
Muzzleloader, I shoot old Hawkins 50 caliber.
Yep.
And, I had a local gunsmith put a red dot scope on it. That putting a scope on a muzzleloader, it's old cap and ball. That to me is a muzzleloader. The inlines, I don't know. They're too much like a rifle for me to get a hold of.
Right.
It seems like the old cap and ball is the way to go. As far as more of a challenge, there's all kinds of things that can go wrong there. And, you can make a mistake with a cap and ball. And I think that's what makes it a better challenge for me to hunt with a cap and ball, old style muzzleloader, than go to an inline.
Yeah, man, you're a purist when it comes to that.
That's awesome. It's dedication. I like the old cap and balls. Everybody's got their own opinion, and
right.
I'm gonna stick with the cap and balls. My mom and dad purchased the muzzleloader for me when I think I was about 18 years old, and it's been with me ever since. And I'm planning on keep shooting it.
Gotcha. How many deer have you taken with it?
I've taken 7 with that.
7? No kidding. And do you have a name for your gun?
I call it Old Eagle Eye because that thing, if you shoot it enough and get used to it, you can look down the old iron sights before I put the scope on it. I called it Eagle Eye because I could hit the gnat's ass at 100 yards. That's
amazing for cap and ball. I am shooting an old Thunderhawk Thompson Center, and it was the first muzzleloader I ever bought, and it's still the only muzzleloader I've ever bought. And it's an inline, but it's not the modern version. I'm still using a percussion cap. And it gets, if it's raining, it gets wet, it doesn't fire. Pretty much no problem. So I'm not quite as pure as you are, but, mine's still pretty old. So
that's awesome.
I do appreciate you going back to the primitive arms, though. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it just makes it the challenge is there. That hunting is a big challenge, and you add something like that to it, it makes it. There's so many times that I've had a doe in front of me, and I squeezed the trigger, and it didn't fire.
Yep.
And it's the challenge of getting it back together and re-firing again and making the harvest. That to me is muzzleloader hunting.
Right. All right. So let's talk about your shotgun. What are you using for a shotgun this year?
This year I'm going to be shooting a Remington 887, which is pretty new to Remington. It's made for actually waterfowl hunting, and
Yep.
It's all synthetic. It's durable. It's waterproof to a certain extent. You can't submerge it, but it's supposed to shed water. It's an all-purpose gun, and I really like it.
Nice. I'm going to be probably shooting my Remington 700 30-06. That once we get out of muzzleloader season, we're going right to that. My bow actually is a Matthews MQ32. It's old, but it's still a deer killer, so I haven't upgraded yet. But as it turns out, there's a guy that moved in across the road from me who is a bow tech. Not the company bow tech, but he is a bow technician. Started running the house across the road. He actually works for a basically a shop that does hunting and fishing and that kind of stuff called Morse's Sporting Goods, not too far from my home. And so I'm going to bring my bow over there and see if I can get it tuned up. And hopefully we're going to get him on the show this year at some point. His name's Randy. Just
awesome.
So yep.
I look forward to hearing from Randy. That's somebody that can be informal for our listeners.
Absolutely. I know enough to shoot the bow and keep it semi-tuned, but this guy there are people that come from all over New England to go see Randy just to get their bow tuned up with him. So I don't know what he's doing special, but whatever it is, when you're driving down from northern Maine to go see Randy in central New Hampshire, he's doing something special. I guess, it's got to be a trust thing that you're taking care of the bow that you're going to use when you go hunting, to make sure it's firing on all cylinders. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So I can't wait to pick Randy's brain. I think that's going to be a great show.
Awesome.
So
can't wait to hear from him.
Yep. He's going to be on. What other gear have you lined up this year?
I've stepped up and bought a couple new trail cams,
Nice.
For the guys that are doing the proper scouting out there. That takes time and it takes a lot of effort to chase down an SD card. Unfortunately, I can't, afford the high dollar where it sends it to my cell phone, which that's okay though. That may come with time, but right now I still use the old style SD card. I go check it about every 3 days, and I got an 8-point that I know is going to bust 160, and I'd like to lay the creeper on him this year. That's a fact, Jack.
So you've got you got some new game cams that you bought. What are we running? What kind of game cams are we running?
These are I got one Bushnell, which is the compact series, and I've got 2 Wild Game Innovations that are out right now.
Nice. And how are they working out so far?
Right now, just like any other trail camera, they do really good. The cold weather here is what's going to make them or break them. If they can cut the cold, I'll buy some more of them.
Gotcha. I've got a old Cuddy back with a flash card. It's old school. Still takes pictures, but I'm thinking I might need to upgrade to get a couple more this year. So far so good. The other one still works fine, but there is no SD card. You got to have it now. It's almost a must. You mentioned something just a second ago about not being able to forward the ones that send the pictures to your cell phone. Tell me about that. I've heard about those. Have you actually seen those in action?
I haven't. I haven't been fortunate enough to be around them. Just doing some internet research. It looks like, they take a picture. They have a transmitter that sends it out in a text message.
Wow. That's some high-tech scouting right there.
That's, that's for the high class hunters for sure, but
Wow.
If you can't get to an area, say you're hunting grounds in another state and do a lease program or own a piece of land out of your area that you can't drive to,
Right.
I have to say that's a great plan right there. You get them out and you can check it at any time.
Right.
They'll send you the pictures. That's pretty convenient,
I kind of like that idea, but man, what are those things running? They got to be up in the $100, right?
I just knew it wasn't for me, so I didn't even look at the prices.
Gotcha. Okay. I haven't looked at them either. All right.
What kind of preparation you doing this year, Jay, to get your season started?
Well, I'm basically just keeping an eye on deer traffic through my normal honey holes. I'm trying not to go in there. I just kind of maintain a distance, stay on the trails, but not actually get into the thick. And it seems like it's almost that, I think we've talked about this before and we've talked about it with other people. It's that sanctuary, where you're trying to keep out of a certain area. So when it's time to go, you go in. So they kind of, not even supposed to go into certain areas, but it's almost like a double sanctuary. There are spots I don't go to at all, because I know they're hanging out there, but then there are spots I'll go to that are on the fringe. But even then I try to stay out of the fringe until it's time to actually go hunt. And you one of the things that I think is important is to try to figure out where everybody else is hunting. And use that to your advantage. You ever do that? You ever do that?
Yeah, for sure. That's if you get an area that's got some high pressure, obviously the deer are they're gonna frown away from that area just because they know people's frequently coming through that area and they're gonna stay out of there.
Right.
Everybody says, why do you hunt the rain? The rain it brings them out of their sanctuary because they usually do not have human contact when the rain's coming down. So it's a natural instinct for them to travel travel around while it's raining. And man, I've laid the creeper on some really nice deer in the rain, and I'll be out there this year in the rain for sure.
Gotcha. What do you during the day? What do you do for a living, Dusty?
I work for the government.
Okay. And you get to be outside during the day, or are you an inside desk job?
No, I'm very lucky to have a job like I've got. I get to be outdoors.
That's awesome. Now, as you're driving around, do you see deer at certain times of the day? Especially, let's just go back for the last 2 weeks. What times of the day have you been seeing deer, if you've been seeing them at all?
It's just like a human. It's no different than us. Everybody can say what they want, but being out there a lot of times you see the morning, which is a breakfast for me.
Yep.
It's a breakfast for the deer too. They're out there scavenging around in the cornfields, cut cornfields, and at lunchtime. I gotta say that I see more bigger bucks throughout the daytime hours between 11 o'clock and 3:30 than I see morning and evening.
Right.
Now it may be different in the woods, just a tad bit different. There's a different schedule with different setups. But during the day out in the fields, there's a lot of big bucks that make their rounds in the middle of the day, so they can pick up that lunchtime snack. And obviously they're eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner unless they're somewhere that they're feeling threatened or they're being disturbed during a certain time of day. They're going to stay out of the area if they're being disturbed. But breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they got to eat just like us.
Right. There's a deer population that is near my home. I live just off of the wood line, and they've been getting very comfortable. I have a neighbor that we communicate constantly back and forth about what he's seeing on his property, what I'm seeing on mine. And, we kind of, what we're seeing is that these deer are coming in 10, 11 o'clock right now. And they're just going out and they're feeding us off some acorns on a tree that they're finding out back. Now, in the front of my property, I had these giant oak trees that produced so many acorns. I literally had to, I think I filled up 10 5-gallon buckets last year of acorns.
Wow.
Just from the front lawn.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah. This year, not a one. Nothing.
Really?
But the trees in the back lot of my property are producing. They're smaller, but I caught a deer feeding in there just the other day, watching it from a distance while I was mowing my lawn. I watched it. It saw me. It didn't care. Kind of went, and I realized that what it was doing. It came down to feed on the acorns that had fallen off this tree. And then a couple days later, saw a couple deer moving through. Actually, I came home for lunch, walked in the backyard because I was moving my canoe and I needed to get my 4-wheeler down to the shop to get a tune-up. Was moving my trailer out, and I came around the corner, and there were 2 deer standing there at about 20 yards feeding in my garden.
Crazy.
It was a big doe and a small one with spots, and it looked at me, went right back down to grazing at 20 yards.
You're like you wasn't in season. Is that what you told them?
It's in season. That's the thing.
It is.
I just came home randomly to grab a bite to eat and get my 4-wheeler down to the shop for the weekend, and there they are. I could have gone inside, grabbed a bow, probably had a shot, but I didn't. Just, it didn't seem very sporting, but it's just interesting. Like midday, I've been seeing a lot. Although this week, I haven't seen any deer in the evening, morning, or in midday. So I don't know what's going on.
It gets like that. The lull period. It can be different in every state. Usually first week October, last week September, October. First week October. The lull period is man. It happens here and no different anywhere else. That may be what's going on where you're at.
Right. Yep. It's kind of different. All right. All right. So
let's talk about this lineup we got for this.
Yeah,
season.
Exactly. Let's get back to the lineup. So we got Randy, the bow technician, coming up this year. We've got a guy named Grant Woods. Tell me about Grant Woods.
That's Grant Woods with Growing Deer TV. I've contacted him. He is a go. That's that's going to be a great podcast. Very informal for everybody. That ought to be a good one to listen to. Nice. I know we got some awesome questions for him, and I know you're pumped up to talk with him.
Absolutely. I think I've been following him on Twitter. I think his stuff is very cool. He's a scientist, right? I mean, this is what he does.
That's correct.
I mean, we're scientists in some sense when we try and figure out where deer are moving, but this guy is a scientist. I mean, he studies, he does tests, he knows everything there is to know about deer, and I'm pretty psyched to have him on the show. We've got a brother and sister, right? And we've got a couple of kids that are going to come on the show.
Yeah, that's correct. It's youth, brother and sister. They have harvested their first chubby tines ever. They're all kinds of pumped up to get on the show. That's going to be very interesting. Like I said, brother and sister, so there's got to be some kind of competition there.
Absolutely, that's kind of cool. And we've got a potential butcher coming up. Now, I think this is going to be great because it goes to a whole other aspect of what you do after the hunt, where you bring it, you want to know what cuts to make them, how to wrap them, how to store them, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to have a butcher on at some point to go through all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. And, hopefully, like I said, it's going to be more or less informal for everybody. That may be something that you learn a little bit from. That's our whole point of all these podcasts, is that we pass on some information to maybe help you out in the future or right now.
Right, exactly. We're looking for tips. And we want to talk about those things that you don't really hear about that much, but man, they're going to be useful things for us to know. Stuff I want to know about, not just, I don't know this stuff, but if I can get somebody on the air, if it's helping me out, it's going to help somebody else out. And that's the whole point, is to get as many people on the air as we can to learn about techniques. What are other people doing to make them successful in the field? Talk to industry experts that you might not even ever see. I mean, you're not going to see them on TV. You're never going to see a butcher on TV. But that's the coolest thing that we should know about. That's if you harvest your own deer and you cut up your own deer, those are some cool things to know. And even if you're just checking to, if you do it now, if you're just checking to see if you did it right, that kind of stuff. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, another one I've got. This is a guarantee. These guys are all in. The Southern Boys Outdoors.
Nice.
They are on Hunt Channel 266 on Dish Network.
Very cool.
They're all about hunting outdoors, and I think that's going to be a great podcast. Get them guys on. They're pumped up to be here with the Big Buck Registry, Big Buck podcast. They told me they can't wait to be on the show, and I'm looking forward to hearing from them.
I like the way you say that. It's a lot of alliteration. Big Buck podcast. That's very cool. We've got, there's an outfitter from Illinois that we spoke to, and we're going to have him on the show talking about how an outfitter might go about their day.
Yeah, full draw hunts.
Full draw hunts, exactly. Who else we should talk to again is Nathan Biggs.
Yeah, Nathan would be a good one to get a hold of and get some more on the doing the productions there. That's a good podcast, that's for sure.
So Nathan, last year, he was getting lined up to do some shows on
Hunt Channel, wasn't it?
The Hunt Channel, yes. It was on the Hunt Channel, and it was for the Dish Network. And he actually signed on. I'd like to follow up with Nathan to find out how he made out. I talk to him now and then by text, but I'd really like to find out how everyth's going this season.
Right on. Let's do it.
Cool. Another guest I want to bring on is a guy by the name of Steve Sweeney. He's one of my old hunting buddies from way back. In fact, right now I'm looking at a picture of me, my friend Bob, and Steve, standing there with our firearms in partial orange probably during the day of hunting. And Steve's just been, he's a really good hunter. He's been hunting for, I don't know how long, but he goes from New Hampshire to Connecticut to, down to North Carolina where Bob moved to, and he hunts down there. He hunts all over the place, and he just has this knack. He smokes a lot, and he's has a bad back, but you know what? He still shoots big deer, and he calls me to drag him out. And last year he shot a 240 pounder, near my house, actually. It was one of the biggest deer taken in New Hampshire last year. And he's got some insight. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it out of him, but he knows a lot more about deer hunting than he lets on. He's kind of like this happy-go-lucky guy that doesn't, or pretends like he doesn't know a whole lot, but he clearly knows something about deer hunting. So I'd love to have him on the show.
Awesome. I think another lineup we got is Mike from the stickermen.com.
Yes, Mike. Mike is making stickers for sportsmen, of all sorts, not just hunters, but he likes the hunting piece, right? He's making stickers that, you can put on your truck or whatever, and it has decals or stickers of big bucks.
Yeah, it's looks like pretty good. Stickermen.com looks like it's they got it going on there for hunting stickers or event stickers, any kind of stickers you're looking for. So that'd be a good one. One more I've got here, Envision Outdoors, the ladies, talking with Brandy via Facebook. That's going to be another one. They give honest answers on hunting products, anything outdoors. I think we're going to have them on that. That'll be a good podcast. Yep. So we're looking forward to them to come in.
Nice. I'm trying to get a guy by the name of Mike Timlin to come on the show. He's got a Twitter account, Mike Timlin, and he's shot some big deer, and I know he's a big hunter, and he's actually an ex-professional baseball player for the Boston Red Sox. We've been chatting. I'd like to get him on. He's agreed to do it. We just haven't set up a time to do it yet. So I think that'll be a good show.
Yeah, we got a full lineup this year, and I'm pumped up to get them started. I can't wait. It's been all summer long. We're getting fired back up. Big Buck Registry, Big Buck Podcast. It's happening, man.
It's happening.
I pay attention because we're going to be slamming these things on here and we're getting them out there so that everybody can hear who we talk to and hear what we got to talk about.
You know who else I'd like to have on is Camo Candace. She was formerly of the Queens of Camo. She's since left the group, but it's a female perspective on hunting. And we had a podcast with her last season, but we'd like to have her back on, see how things are going in Texas. She does a lot of hog hunting, but obviously the deer season is upon us. So I think that'd be pretty cool. So can you believe that the deer season's here already?
Oh, it's just unbelievable. Where does time go? It's 24 hours in a day just ain't enough.
It's unbelievable. I mean, summer was just here. And where did it go? But you know what? That's okay because I'm ready to go hunting.
Yeah, I'm ready to feel the blood pressure rise above normal when you see the antlers coming through the tree lines. Yeah. Man, it don't get no better than that.
Yeah. Why does that happen? That experience. You literally, your chest is just pounding. It feels like it's going to jump out.
Yeah, it's an addiction, obviously, because, I'm jonesing for it right now. I can't wait till I lay my eyes on the first set of bone on top of a deer's head. I cannot wait.
What is that? Is that buck fever? I mean, is that what we're talking about?
I think it's more or less a adrenaline.
Yeah.
The buck fever, I guess you could call it that, but learning how to control your anxiety when you see a mature whitetail coming through the woods with a big set of headgear. Once you learn how to control that, it makes hunting so much more because you kind of figure things out. For instance, myself, I don't know what you do, and you're going to tell us here, but I talk to myself and say, hey, that's a monster. You got to settle down. You got to be able to perform and make a good, clean harvest.
Right. Hey, and I do the same thing with a doe, though. I mean, I like the big bucks for sure, but I feel the same way against whenever I see just a deer.
Right, I agree to that. You must have some monster slickheads up that way.
Yeah, we do. Very much so. Big doe. It's crazy. So I don't know where that all comes from. I don't know if it's like this inner DNA from way back when we were predators and we had to go out and actually harvest our own deer. There must be some kind of an adrenaline rush that enables you to attack. I don't know what it is, but man, my whole being just is in this trance. And you're right. I talk to myself, not out loud, but you have to talk yourself through that moment to make sure that you can calm yourself down, get yourself in a composed state where you can actually take the shot. Because if you don't, that heart is beating so hard, you can feel the pulsation in your fingertips moving the bow around or the gun. Do you have the same experience?
Yeah, for sure. It just, my heart, I think, gets beaten so hard that, about 3 trees over, the squirrels can feel the shake.
Right. It's insane.
It is insane.
But that's what drives us to go back.
It's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
Don't get no better.
I don't need drugs, man. I just need to go hunting.
Yeah. Some tree stand time, some seat time gets me pumped up more than anything I've ever seen.
I agree. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on over at Chubby Tines. You're our official, guest host, and you are our field rep from Ohio, and you've got your own site going called Chubby Tines, and you created that a little while ago. Tell us about Chubby Tines. What's going on in the Chubby Tines Facebook page?
Yeah, Chubby Tines is obviously been a little bit slow throughout the summer months, and that's okay. We like to see everybody's Chubby Tines. It's a hunter submitted photos. We're going to become Facebook's largest hunter submitted photo page out there. With Chubby Tines, all you got to do is check us out, give us a like, submit your photo, and we'll post it for all of our viewers. And everybody says they're fans. I don't agree with that. Everybody that's on Chubby Tines Outdoors is a friend. That's what it is. It's a virtual photo album of hunter submitted photos, trail cameras, elk, deer, mule deer, moose. We post them all. There's no chubby tines too big or too small.
Take me through what chubby tines is. Now, there's a story behind this. I know the answer to this question, but I want you to tell me what chubby tines is actually all about.
Chubby tines come about when I harvested my 174-inch whitetail. They said that, man, look at the chubby tines on that thing, and it stuck with me. I've got a passion for the outdoors. Whitetail hunting, obviously, here in Ohio is phenomenal, and I'll admit to it. I'm addicted. Can't help it. It's in my blood. It's going to be there forever. I started Chubby Tines Outdoors because everybody would send me a picture, and somehow or some way I'd end up deleting it, or it'd be gone off my phone. They'd send it via text or whatever. But anyway, so now I've got it. We're pushing almost 4,000 likes. It's getting up there pretty good for us. And everybody that's on there is encouraged to submit photos into Chubby Tines Outdoors. I take them, I post them on the page, just like you send them to me. I post them, and it gives people opportunity to, one, see your harvest, for two, to comment on it, tell you congratulations, and for three, just to take in from all different states, all over the United States, of different animals, sizes, the rack formation. It's every deer that's posted on there. That's what's unique about any rack that you see. There ain't none too much alike.
Absolutely. That's kind of why we started the Big Buck Registry. I was having the same problem. People that I know who moved away, Bob, for example, my good friend Bob, who actually runs an outfitter down in North Carolina now, would send me pictures of the deer to get on his trail cam, things like that. Then Steve would send me something, and get some other people sending me stuff, my friend AJ. So eventually I go, why am I not sharing this with everybody? There's so many cool pictures out there that we need to start a site where people are actually going to submit their pictures. And then along came the podcast. Like, we got to talk about these pictures. We got to talk about how those people got to it. And that's how we met, right? I think, you were on my site, and then invited you to come on to the show to tell you the story about Chubby Tines. And the next thing you know, we're hosting a show together. So it's amazing.
I can't be more thrilled, Jay. It's a pleasure being on the Big Buck Registry, Big Buck podcast. It's something I had never dreamed that I would be doing. And I love every podcast because everyone's different. We talk to somebody different, and it's unique in its own way. A great thing that you got going is Big Buck Registry, bigbuckregistry.com. You've got an absolute phenomenal webpage. You got a phenomenal Facebook page, and people really interact with everything that you post.
I love it. I love seeing what other hunters are doing, because there's a whole other world out there from my little hunting world in New Hampshire. But it's opened my eyes to, well, I can make a connection to Dusty. I can make a connection to Nathan Biggs. I could go potentially hunt with them because they live there. What an opportunity to connect with other hunters across the country, going through Chubby Tines Outdoors, Big Buck Registry, and just making sure that you're out there. You're going to form some good relationships and friends, and get to talk about your experiences. It's like sitting on a porch, but your porch is the nation. It's not just your porch where you live. It's like deer camp. It's like virtual deer camp for the whole country.
That's crazy, and the thing is, obviously you're in New Hampshire and I'm in Ohio. That makes us far enough apart where, obviously I'm seeing deer here, you're seeing deer there, but it's on a different, you got the East Coast,
yep,
out that way, upstate New York. They've got some nice big monster deer up that way, and Ohio, Illinois, on out to the west down here. I'm kind of covering this area, and it couldn't be better. It couldn't be better because I see deer from your end, you see deer from my end. We send each other friends over to like each other's pages, just because that's what it's all about. A big community of deer hunters, outdoorsmen, women, kids, youth. It can't get no better than people that enjoy the outdoors as much as we do.
Right. There is a technical aspect to this, right? So you go out, you maybe take some pictures off your game cam, you harvest a big deer with your bow. Early season, gun season comes along. There's a technical aspect. You have to be on Facebook in order to submit the pictures for the most part. I mean, I have a blog. You have a blog now with Chubby Tines Outdoors, bigbuckregistry.com. And those pictures can be sent in by Facebook, and then we can repost them to our blogs, or you can send them to our blogs and we can repost them to Facebook. All those fancy cameras and all those fancy phones that have the fancy cameras on them, all of them connect to Facebook somehow.
That's correct.
I can go right now on my iPhone 4S, which is an upgrade, by the way, from a BlackBerry rollerball. So I went from like a horse-drawn buggy to the space shuttle, basically, is what it feels like. With my phone. I can take a picture right now of the deer, and then I can go right over to Chubby Tines Outdoors and post it on your site as a guest. And then you can repost it on your site if somebody sends it to you. Is that kind of
That's correct.
Yep.
Yeah, it's correct. Same way for the Big Buck Registry,
Exactly the same thing.
It's really unique that, me and you obviously got some really awesome pages, and we're able to share stories, and I can bring somebody from the West and we can get them on the show, and you got people from the East, and it's two different hunting techniques in each end.
Right. And one of the reasons that we started the podcast is because we were getting these pictures that are coming in. You know how they say a picture is worth 1,000 words? I want to hear the 1,000 words, because you've got a great picture of a deer, but I want to hear the story, and I want to put the story with the picture.
And, Elton and Josh from About Time Outdoors,
yep.
The story was great because, he told us that he woke up from a little bit of a siesta and he draw back on his decoy. It don't get no better than a story like that.
Exactly. And you had the great story with Chubby Tines.
Right.
There's so many good deer stories out there, just like you're sitting on a porch at deer camp.
That's correct.
Just talking about what happened during your day. That's what this is all about.
There ain't nothing better than a story from a hunter that's excited about his harvest.
Right. I mean, I've been to deer camp. We don't have a camp, so to speak, in New Hampshire, but I've been to deer camps in other parts of the country, and it's just awesome. You sit there at the end of the day, drinking a beer, talking about deer hunting, telling the stories of the deer that you saw that morning, or even reminiscing about the deer you shot last year, the biggest one in the camp, or whatever it was. That's why this podcast is here. And not only to grab tips from people who are industry experts, but I want to talk to the real guys. I want to talk to guys that are in the field that would be telling these stories to their buds on the porch at deer camp. That's what this is all about.
It makes it a connection for me and you to talk to somebody and get their story out there, and not just that they feel like they accomplished something, but it may be helpful to somebody that's listening to our podcast from a pointer or a tip that the hunter gives out that really is something that a beginning hunter or even a experienced hunter may not know.
Right, exactly. Dusty, we're closing in on an hour mark here, and I think we've set the stage for a fantastic 2013 deer season. And it's time to get out. It's time to get outside with your kids, other hunters, and actually experience everything we've been talking about. So if you're a listener, get outside and hunt hard, and then come back to us. Contact us. Let us know what's going on. Send in your pictures to Chubby Tines, to the Big Buck Registry. Let us know what's going on so we can see what's happening, and then we can contact you back and maybe put you on the show so we can hear that great story behind the deer hunt. That's what we're looking for. We want some content from the 2013 season. So Dusty, how would people reach you if they wanted to?
Yeah, you can go to www.facebook or www.facebook.com/ChubbyTinesOutdoors.com. You can look me up on Facebook, type in Chubby Tines Outdoors right in the search bar, and contact me either way through there. And if you got a story that you want to talk about or tell us about, be happy to send me a message. That's how you get on the show. Contact us. We may contact you. You just never know when you're going to be on Big Buck Registry, Big Buck Podcast.
Right, exactly. And if you want to reach out to me, we've got a Facebook page. You can send an email to j@bigbuckregistry.com. So if you're an emailer, j@bigbuckregistry.com. You can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/bigbuckregistry. You can go to twitter.com/bigbuckregistry. There's a theme here. You hear that theme, Big Buck Registry. So those are some great places. And our website is bigbuckregistry.com. But here's the big thing. This podcast is in several directories. It's in Stitcher. It's in Blueberry, which you can actually get on TV through your Roku units. It is on iTunes. iTunes is the big one. We've actually just applied to be through the iHeartRadio, which is another competitor to iTunes. But if you go to bigbuckregistry.com/iTunes, all lowercase, you can actually go right to every single episode we've ever made on the podcast, the Big Buck Registries Big Buck Podcast, and you'll get every single one. You can even find Dusty's back there from our original interview with Dusty when we first met. That's on there too. That's pretty cool. That's all about the Chubby Tines and how that all got created. I think that's about it, Dusty. Can you think of anything else you'd like to cover?
Yeah, I want to tell everybody good luck in the 2013 season. That's from Jay and I both. We wish you the best of luck and be safe out there, guys.
Yep.
Safety harness will get you home to dinner and back to your family. Safety first. It's not only about the hunt, but it's about being safe out there. There's a lot of things that you don't even think about and that can happen, and when you don't think about it till it happens. So use your head when you're going out to the outdoors.
That's a great point. Be safe. Make sure you know what you're shooting at. Make sure your tree stands are solid. Make sure you're wearing your harnesses when you're in there. We want to make sure that you get home to tell the story, because we don't want anybody hanging out in the woods and not being able to get home. Have your cell phones with you. Know you have your GPS, your compass, and make sure you know how to get home. Don't get lost. There are accidents every single year, but man, the more you can do to wear your hunter orange, make sure you know what you're shooting at. Make sure you know where your other people are in your party before you pull the trigger or shoot the bow. Make sure you know what's going on. We want everybody back to tell that story. Okay. Well, Dusty, I think that's a wrap, man.
Awesome. We look forward to being with you guys. Season 2 of the Big Buck Registry Big Buck Podcast.
Absolutely.
It's going to be awesome.
Good luck to every hunter out there, and make sure you touch base with us throughout the season. So this is Jay Scott.
And I'm Dusty Phillips.
And we'll see you next time right here on the Big Buck Registries Big Buck Podcast.